Herzlich willkommen zurück auf SchalkeMerica. I'm your host. My co-host is disappeared for the moment being, but how is everyone doing tonight? It's a victory Monday. Jack is so excited. He hit the wrong button and hit the escape button, but don't worry, Jack is back. Here he is. Jack, welcome to the show.
Good evening, sir. How are you?
I'm doing quite well. How are you, my man?
Another victory Monday. Maybe less deserved. Some other ones we could talk about how you felt about the performance overall. Kind of a strange game, but we keep rolling up to second place in the league now, which is great to see.
As Meyer Muslic says, defend until the end. It is the theme for this weekend. But let's talk about lots to talk to about tonight. But let's get the rundown for tonight. We will be talking, obviously, Arminia Bielefeld, the match that was our third win in a row. We'll look at the kicker best 11. Did any of our guys make it there? We'll have our favorite referee, I guess you could say, Manuel Gräfe. What are his thoughts on an incident that happened in the game? Talk about some player updates. Look at the table. Talk about the friendly, and then get on out of here. But I think I'm going to deviate things from what we've done in the past. Joseph's in the house. Eric, Michael, everyone's in the house. Good to have everyone here. I want to deviate from how we've done things in the past. And I want to start off with man of the match, Jack. And this is my man of the match. And I don't care what anybody says. This is the man of the match. I'm obviously talking about Nikola Katic for the heroics he had during the match. For those who weren't aware or missed the game, there was a collision between Gradowski and Loris Karius, where Gradowski, the player for Arminia Bielefeld, instantly knocked out. And Nikola Katic heads up play, noticed the player was knocked out, and quickly went to his rescue, turned him on the side so he wasn't choking on his own vomit or spit or his tongue, whatever, and basically saved a life. So I don't really care what happened in the rest of the match. When it comes to humanitarian things like this, it's going to take full stop right there. And what a play by heads up play by Nikola Katic there, just being fully aware of what's going on at all times.
Yeah, like you said, he reacted pretty quickly to it. I mean, we don't know, how serious it would have been if he hadn't intervened in that sense, but still, it was an extremely, heads-up situation by him to recognize that the guy was in some serious trouble after that collision, and to go there and to make sure that he had an airway and, get him in the right position. That's the kind of sportsmanship, obviously, that you want to see in these situations when people actually, when there's a serious situation or a serious injury, everyone kind of, jumps to help, and kind of the match pauses for good reason. So glad to see that he was able to kind of get back up very quickly. I was sort of concerned that it seemed for like a minute or two like there was some question as to whether or not he was going to be allowed back into the match after that, which I was like, you better not. I mean, that guy was just knocked out cold. Like, how is this even a discussion? And obviously, you appreciate the player wanting to get back in there. And glad that he was ultimately taken out of the game before he could, return, so he could get, the attention that he was going to need after that. But yeah, totally agree with your shout. Shout out to Katic. Big moment from him. Appreciate that. Helping out a opponent.
Yeah, and so much appreciated that even Arminia Bielefeld on their site said, first Schalke's defender Nikola Katic reacted quickly and alertly. He turned Johnny Gradowski into a stable side position, ensure that the airways remain clear. For this quick and correct reaction, he deserves our heartfelt thanks and respect. So that's Arminia Bielefeld saying, thank you to Nikola Katic as well. So anytime you see something like that, you want to give it a shout out because it goes above and beyond the game of football. Life is more important than that. So. I just want to start off the show with that quick shutout there. But let's get into the game because this was a game, coming off of last week, Jack, when we played Greater Firth. It was something we just hadn't witnessed in a long, long time as Schalke fans. A dominant performance, maybe not so much on the scoreline, but certainly on the pitch. And we were wondering, would we see a repeat of that? We knew that there would be some changes to the lineup in this one, just how injuries and stuff have panned out. And for those who didn't notice, Christian Gomes picked up an injury during practice this week. So there are going to be some changes into the lineup. And so the changes were as such. Karius obviously in goal, but back three, you would have Murtakan Ayhan in place for Timo Becker, Nikola Katic, and Kurachai obviously in the back there. Midfield really hasn't changed much. Vitaly Becker, Schallenberg, El Fauzi, and Gantenbeim. Karaman, of course, was started as the captain, and then Antwi-Adjei coming in for Gomis with Musa Sylla. You could have put a number of bodies in there for both right center back and right wing or right attacker.
Sure.
But how do you feel about those two insertions there?
Fine. I mean, the main thing is obviously that the center back situation with the injury of Becker last week, which was super unfortunate for all the reasons we discussed. But I really loved what the coach said over the course of the weekend in terms of when he was being asked like how you get to slot people in for that. He basically said, hey, like we're not going to put either of our young players in a bad situation. They're both they've both been training school. They're both prepared and totally ready to go. But we're gonna take a look at what profile of player the specific opponent requires, and we're gonna try to put the best player in the best situation. And so I just love that. I mean, like I thought it was a great statement and a great way to approach it, and hopefully gives people confidence. So we'll see. Maybe we'll see Sanchez in other matches in the short term until we're able to get Becker back, whether that's next season or whenever. But in the meantime, I mean, I don't think it was a great performance from my end today, but it was fine ultimately, kind of. So we'll see how that goes. I mean, Gantenbein, we know that he's still kind of first choice, whether or not we think he should be or not. That being said, another really good performance from Gantenbein. One of arguably his best one of the year, and we'll talk about him in a little bit, but I'm going to give him a shout out later as well. And then last but not least, Antwi-Adjei. It hasn't really featured as much since the beginning of the season. He was kind of heavily involved the first couple matches, and then it's been more in, sort of off the bench and whatnot. But I thought he was active once again in this one. So not always the cleanest in terms of some of his passes and whatnot, but played a big role in this match for sure. Early on, and then was involved throughout. So definitely kind of the right man for a game like this that ended up being as open as it was for so much of it.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with everything you said there about the starting 11. I think having depth at the center back position is actually a nice thing to have for a change. And we'll see how the right wing position may be solidifying in a sense. We know the left side is solidified, right, with Korachai and Becker there. But we got a couple options now right wing that could, as center backs, we depending on the game, we could insert them in different reasons. But we think maybe Ganten might have an advantage here going forward. Not going to comment too much on Arminia Bielefeld. Obviously, they came from Dritte Liga last season, and this year they started out with a bang, but they've lost the last game heading into this one. Only player that outside of Carbaz that I knew was Leinert, the former Bayern Munich product, who would come off the bench. But it's a team that scored a lot of goals, gave up a lot of goals, and I thought the way we were going to attack Greuther Fürth last week, which didn't happen, they kind of did that mentality this week. To start things off, I heard it when you and I were talking before the game, but obviously, good friend of the show, Derek Ray, on the call. Always love it when Derek Ray's on the call. The iconic voices in sports commentary, I should say. How good is it to hear Derek Ray on a call on a Zweite Liga game again?
No, I mean exactly. I mean we're I don't think we realized how spoiled we were when we were in the top division. Obviously, it's not so often we get to hear Derek Ray on a call, and I certainly wasn't aware that he was going to be on. They were expecting that. So when I watched the game and it started up, I was like, oh, we're getting Derek for this one. So that was great. And obviously much more on top of his facts and whatnot than some other commentators we've had on some streams recently. So, and you love that, he's the best, obviously. And once again, we can say friend of the podcast, Derek Ray as well. Right. So
that's right.
Echo that for sure.
Well, Michael hit the nose on the head right here. It says 30 minutes of intense pressing was enough to win the match. Absolutely. We've seen against Greuther Fürth how the pressing was beneficial to us. This game as well, where the intense pressing, we time our pressing. It's more of a time press, but when Muslic tells the guys to go, they go. Causes chaos for the opposition, especially trying to play out the defense. And we saw that 11 minutes into the game. It was innocent throw in right to a defender, but Schalke immediately pressed the defender. An innocent ball to the goalkeeper. Goalkeeper forgot TV was on. Made a direct pass to Christopher Antwi-Adjei, who just slided out in the back of the net. And I'll take that all day to start the game off with an empty net goal there, Jack. That's that was quite a way. That's a surprising way to start, I guess.
Hey, every once in a while, that's what some coordinated pressure can get you. Is you can force these people into a quick decision or a mental error. The goalkeeper made a blind pass. That's what it was. He had a defender that was sort of like running across the box,
Yeah.
and when he looked at him, he was sort of in the center of the box. The guy kept moving, and he never checked ever again. And Antwi-Adjei, like you said, was Johnny on the spot, was able to make a good effort to run across goal and get some nice hip torque and get it back on target in one motion before the keeper had a chance to get back across the frame. So yeah, super cheap way to concede early, but I mean that's what that's what kind of putting the effort in on some of those things gets you. I think that was kind of a repeated theme throughout this match for us.
And it's funny because it was a quiet start for both teams, at the beginning of this one, and it was just like a feeling out process. It felt like almost like a heavyweight fight in the sense that it wasn't like any team really taking the initiative to start it off. Both teams very conservative, and then sure enough, it was the counterattacking or the pressing that led to the unexpected error and an empty net goal there. So obviously great to see there. And off the kickoff, Schalke continued doing much of the same in that regard, and they nearly caused another turnover again against Arminia Bielefeld. Didn't happen anything there. Schalke continued on. El Fauzi, a guy who we've been high on, especially last game, how much of a workhorse he is. It's just lots of energy. Play comes up, 17th minute comes up the pitch, gets around, forces a guy to take him down just because he beats the guy. Sets up a free kick to Christopher Antwi-Adjei, and it's in a decent position. It wasn't like it was like directly on goal, so he knew it was going to be a pass into the box. It was into a dangerous area, ball bouncing around, a bunch of people trying to hit it. All of a sudden, it falls to Hassan Kurashai, and he just blasted past the keeper. And all of a sudden, it's 2-0. 18 minutes in, it's like, I'm not used to this. What team is this? I'm not used to this, Jack. This is what a way to start.
Yeah, I mean, look, another pretty silly, cheap goal for Bielefeld to concede. I mean, I feel kind of bad for them on that one, just because it was a weird bouncing ball that was difficult to clear, and then it ends up falling directly to Kurashai, who has his man boxed out and is able to just turn and absolutely lace one. And yeah, well struck from Kurashai, and once again, that guy making an impact. He's been fantastic the last few weeks, and I think he was by far the best of the three defenders today, like from a defensive standpoint, not just like, the goal that he scored, like miles ahead of, I think, both Ian and Cottage in this one. So, yeah, really good stuff from him. So yeah, 2-0 early up and just opportunistic stuff, which is like what you love to see, like take advantage of stuff like that when it comes your way.
Yes.
And it'll pay up for mistakes that you can make later on. And, fortunately we weren't punished for more of the ones that we had against us, but yeah, it was nice that we got, the game, as mentioned in the comments in the chat here, like, some of the pressing that we did in the first 30 minutes kind of put the game to bed early.
Yeah. And it's so nice to be on this side of the coin for once, because how many times in the past have we talked about how, like, we are doing nothing. We make a simple mistake and the opposition pounces on the opportunity. And it's nice to be on the other side and us pouncing on two opportunities within the first 20 minutes of the game there. A very welcome change for that. For the first half hour or so, I think not much to say offensively. Defensively, though, we were solid. I don't think Bielefeld really could create anything or get by us, really. I thought on the flip side, Bielefeld's defense were struggling, particularly against the press. Obviously, the turnovers and fouls that were going against them. It felt a quiet game. It seemed like a game that's going to be maybe full of emotion that's probably going to drive this. And I think a good example of that was up at the half-hour mark. Nothing really has happened by both teams in terms of offense minus the goals. And then you see in the 27th minute where Schallenberg is battling with the Arminia Bielefeld player, earns a corner kick because of his hustle, and he's celebrating like he just scored a freaking goal in the World Cup. He was like happy about it, and it's like those kind of things in these kind of games where the emotion's going to ride this thing. Happy to see Schallenberg show a little bit of emotion there every now and then. So the fact that he was up for it and our away fans were up for it, obviously a great sign to see there.
Yeah, Derek Gray was laughing at that a little bit, but
yeah, that's right.
Yeah. I love it. I love it.
So there was a play where, and I think that you were alluding to this earlier. Gantenbeim. It's a player we don't always say maybe fully deserves being in the starting 11, but he's absolutely a Myron Muslic guy. Energy, pressing, right? What more does Myron Muslic want than those two qualities? And any player, especially a wingback. Well, defending is also important in Meyer Music's system. And in the 34th minute, there was a dead ball situation. Bielefeld heads up play, quickly played it, broke down our defense, came down the right wing side. All of a sudden, it's a one-on-one against Loris Karius. Karius comes out to try to stop this guy. I forget who the striker was. Chips it over Karius. It looked like it was going in goal, and then out of nowhere, Jack, out of nowhere, like Usain Bolt comes out of nowhere and just heads the ball clear off the goal line. It's Gantenbeim. I'm like, who the hell was it? It was Gantenbeim of all people backtracking. And when you watch the replay, it's even more impressive how he ran from basically in the attacking end all the way back. I mean, that was hustle that Muslic is going to start in the rest of the season just because of that play, possibly.
Yeah, I mean, just as you said, look, we've been very critical of Gantenbeim. I think deservedly so, obviously, particularly last season. But I mean, when a player makes a play, you got to give him his due. And this is, to me, this is one of the best plays I've seen a Schalke player make in recent memory.
Yeah.
It's the definition of just like, once again, good things happen when you hustle. You know, it's kind of like, to use like an American baseball analogy. You know, there's some players that like they run out a ground ball to first base every time. Because nine times out of 10, you're going to get thrown out at first because you hit a ground ball to it. But every once in a while, someone's going to like bobble it or make an error. And if you actually ran hard, you would beat out the throw. Over the course of the season, those extra bases may add up to runs and wins and put you in a different situation. And like Gantenbeim was not even remotely the closest Schalke player to kind of that action when this break started. So I wouldn't even like single them out or anything if he hadn't made this run. But yeah, he went into like a full-on sprint, and wouldn't you know it, like, you know, the player kind of chips and sort of almost beats Karius, and suddenly Gantenbeim is like full out, you know, penguin dive almost, gets his head and knocks it out of it, and like you could see how fired up Karius was afterwards. Karius ran over and like, you know, like and just like celebrated with him, was like absolutely saved the goal, and like out of nowhere, like brilliant play, brilliant effort. And like, dude, if players aren't bought into a system and aren't motivated by a coach, they're not doing stuff like that.
Exactly.
Like they're not making plays like that and putting in that kind of effort. And you can see it in the way that Schalke is, you know, approaching the game. Obviously, we got beaten at times in this game, but like that was spectacular. Shout out Gantenbeim. I'm critical of you, but that was a ridiculous play. I loved it.
Michael says all the stick that you two guys give Gantenbeim guarantees continued success. Hey, we'll keep doing it as long as they keep producing like that. And it was only there, even on TikTok, people, because one of our highest rated watched video was the one where we said Gantenbeim was the worst signing of the last season, and everyone's like, oh, how about that? It was just fine. Hey, it's great. That's what we want to see, you know? So yeah, hell of a play. I mean, he went through the net. Luckily, the net held up because he would have gone into the stands at the pace. I mean, he was flying. It was an unreal play by Gantenbeim, and kept it at 2-0 at that point. And it's something in the 30th minute or so that we fell asleep. Obviously, Gantenbeim was prepared for that, but like it seemed like the rest of the defense went to sleep because moments later they had another quality opportunity that Karius had to make a save on. Just got the ball before the attacker, and he's clearly annoyed at the defense. And it's like we stopped playing defense for the last 15 minutes of that first half. They had a couple of really good opportunities, call back for offsides, but they were starting to break down our defense all of a sudden. I don't know if it was tiredness or they just woke up. I really don't know.
The intensity of the press, I mean, it dropped off a little bit, but I think they just kind of figured out how to combine through us a little bit, and they were also doing a better job of like hanging right on the edge and trying to beat us with some through balls in behind. And there was a number of offside calls in that space of like 5 to 10 minutes, which was scary. And I don't like us being exposed in that position as much, but it's also testament to how well drilled the team is at the moment, where like they can pretty consistently hold a consistent line where, you know, that the striker was just a hair offside or whatever, because somebody isn't out of place and keeping him on. So it was impressive from that standpoint. But yeah, they started having a lot of success down the right-hand side after that kind of like that 30-minute mark, where we were combining triangles around us. And then it, finally get some balls in. Like I said, with some of their strikers kind of trying to play off the shoulder of the center backs in between that, that gap, out to the wide players or whatever. So, kind of weird momentum shift after the 2 goals definitely woke them up. It took a while, but yeah, then they were pretty furious for most of the rest of the first half there. And we were fortunate to not, have some damage done.
No, absolutely. And it's I was going to make a point and I completely forgot what the point was. Nonetheless, I'll go to the comment while I think about what I was just gonna say. But Tim Golders asked, "Do you guys think Musa Jabbar will get his chance this season? Seems like he fits into Musa's system." Yeah, I do. Think I think they're waiting for him to be healthy. They don't want to rush a player like him. He's got obviously immense talent and fits the system like a plug. But they want to rest. They want to make sure he's healthy because he's young, and it's a serious injury that he has. So I think they're going to wait, but he's going to absolutely get a chance because we really don't have a striker like Mike says. Maybe Sylla's a one-hit wonder. He's been quiet, very quiet. So who knows how long his opportunity is going to stay here? But nonetheless,
I mean, yeah. When it comes to Sylla, and I mean, like, who would have thought that we would have been like, maybe we should have gotten that money for him while we could have. You know what I mean? We were kind of hoping we were going to hang on to him, and now it's looking like we may have lost out on a couple $1 million that we could have used in the market. But I mean, look, I think we got to give him a little bit more time. But I'm certainly not thrilled looking at the goal returns and seeing 1-7 to start the season. And even when you look at like somebody like Keenan Karaman, who we feel like is maybe slightly not as involved as well this season as he typically is offensively. He's been better the last couple games, but even he has like, I think like 4 total goal contributions, like including assists and stuff, something in that neighborhood. And like Sylla has like no other, assists or anything. I mean, it's pretty barren stuff. And it's not just like, once again, I mean, look, he is putting in the work against the ball. I think he's doing a pretty good job with the press. So it's not like he isn't contributing to that. But he isn't doing a lot in possession or else to like help facilitate either. He's just kind of like not as involved as he needs to be. And then when he pops up, he's just like shooting off target and stuff like that. So yeah, really, really kind of puzzling that he hasn't been able to find, some of the form that he found pretty immediately last season. But look, there's a lot of other players that seem to be thriving at the moment. And as long as we keep, finding some goals from somewhere and the defense performs, I'm not as concerned about it. But yeah, it's definitely, definitely strange. I'm still wondering how long it's going to be before we start seeing a change up there in terms of the personnel. We've been talking about that for a while.
Yeah, I think it'll come soon. I mean, this obviously international break. It's not going to happen now, but I think to get closer to Christmas. I mean, if you're looking end of this month, if he still hasn't scored like a goal or getting hot, I see that November. As soon as November changes, there'll be a new striker there. So we'll see. This comment by Michael kind of jogged my memory what I was going to say, and we talked about it the earliest season about this kind of press that Muslic provides. How to break it down are the teams that are really skilled at the ball possession and can do the 1-2 touch passes. And that's what we saw in the last 15 minutes from Bielefeld is that really quick passing, the third man running behind. That's what really broke us down. And, luckily for those couple of offsides and stuff like that, we were able to get to halftime with the lead and, up 2-0. Obviously that's good. Great result to start the game off. But if I'm Manuel Muslic, at least my thought is like, okay, we got 2-0 lead. Clean it up defensively. Let's preserve this shutout. Don't let we had a whiff of what they're capable of at the end of that first half. Let's learn from our mistakes. Let's not do that high line as much and try to get out of here with a clean sheet and get out of here. Maybe get another goal. A minute into the second half, they're attacking. They get a corner kick. Ball goes into the box. Guy unmarked scores a goal 2-1. All of a sudden, 43 minutes left in the second half, and we're like, "Geez, Louise, here we go." This one we thought we were running smooth, Jack. It's back to heart attack and Vine, where we're like, "Oh my gosh, what's going to happen here?" What do you make of that goal by Bielefeld there? Start off the second half.
I mean, certainly not the way we wanted to start. I mean, I think it's like we said, most of the times I feel like we've had danger against us tends to be from wide areas, whether it's like not so much from set pieces much, but aerials, crosses, those sorts of things, stuff from the edges. We've done a pretty good job of keeping things kind of in front of us locked down for the most part. I'd have to go back and watch that one again to see if there's anybody I think I missed anything specifically that was notable. I don't think he was like totally unmarked necessarily. But
so I think Musa Sylla was the one guarding him, if I remember correctly. Maybe I'm just remembering incorrectly. But from what I remembered, it was Musa Sylla guarding the bigger striker or midfielder, and that was Maximilian Grosser. There's like a foot height advantage difference there. And I don't know why he's marking him, but he did a little shake and bake, got away from Sylla, if that's where it was.
Yeah, you're right. He ran in behind off of him, yeah.
And then he was unmarked because the two defenders weren't paying attention. They had two guys themselves. Karius is a no man's land. He's not going to be able to stop, see that guy right there. So, boom, went in. And 2-1. I was like, man, not at all how we needed to start this game. There you go. Tim's even saying header's partially Sylla's fault. Not a good look for him given a lack of attacking output. Yeah, agreed. And not the ideal way to start. There was an immediate response by Schalke. Two chances, I think, by Sylla and Karaman.
Yeah.
Called
It was
offside.
like a bicycle kick almost kind of from
Yeah,
Karaman to the
yeah.
corner, then like a rebound, I think, from Sylla.
But they ultimately called offsides. I don't remember if it was on the first shot or second shot, but either way, it was offside. So nothing really there. I think you could see Bielefeld all of a sudden wanted to have we're getting more and more pressure. Like in first half, they had majority of the possession, but it didn't look like it. It seemed like Schalke were fairly in control for the most part, minus the last 10, 15 minutes. Second half though, they started taking over. I think they ended up having something like 66% possession or something crazy like that. But it kept building and building. They get more and more confident. Obviously, Gradowski was getting involved. Mamula, number 14, was getting involved as well. Several other players. Mamula in particular, he was getting on the end of some balls, tried to dive a couple times to try to get some calls as well. Obviously, the referee didn't buy. He was toting the red line as well with his diving antics. Yeah, it was getting worrisome because I was thinking like this goal is the second goal for Bielefeld's coming, and it's like we need to fix what we're doing. And I this is the style of play I expected from the Greater Firth match, and kind of I guess I expected out of this. But when your team is not defending, I guess they're defending well, but they're starting to give up opportunities, right? That's the thing. Like that early first half, first 30 minutes, we weren't giving up opportunities. Yes, they had possession, but they weren't doing anything with it. Second half, they started creating opportunity. They found ways to get past their defense, whether it was mostly on the wing play, right? But were you just as frustrated as I was at how we were defending, but not really?
It's definitely kind of bend don't break stuff, right? In terms of conceding that much of the ball to your opponent. But once again, in terms of like total shots, we ended up being like even with them with shots on target and total shots, despite having like 30% possession for the game, and I think less than 30% in the second half. So I mean, like you could kind of argue it's like Muslic has him right where he wants him supposedly, but yeah, I mean, look, especially towards the end of the first half, at times like they were very dangerous and could have beaten us a couple times, and there were some offside calls and some other things, and the Gantenbein heroics and whatever else. So I think we were definitely fortunate because they broke us down and got in behind us a number of times in this game. You talk about Mamala and some of the diving or whatever. I forget if it was Gradowski prior to his concussion or whatever, or if it was Shrek. I forgot who did it, but like somebody got a yellow card in the first half for simulation.
I guess yes.
And it was hilarious because like Mamala's was like way worse and like way more obvious, and he didn't get like any sort of like card or anything along those lines. But yeah, glad that he didn't get the benefit of a penalty call or something because it was pretty obnoxious, some of the ones he had.
What'd you make of that first half play too? Because it was Ihan who fouled whoever that player was for Bielefeld just outside the box. And I thought, oh, that's a silly foul by Ihan, but at least it's outside of the box. And then you see the yellow card come out, you're like, wait, what? And then the replay, you can kind of see he kind of misses it. It was definitely a dive by the attacker, but
yeah, I guess I think it was like, I mean, maybe that's why that one wasn't called. Maybe it was a makeup call for like I don't know. I think they definitely got those two situations reversed in terms of the severity of the actions there.
Well, what are your thoughts on how the referee's performance was in this game, in particular, like the first half and first three quarters of the game? Because I remember on the Discord, people were saying like, "Hey, we're getting pretty lucky because the referees are really calling things against Bielefeld when it's not as 50-50 as it should be." I don't know if I saw it that way. I mean, I don't know how you saw it, but I felt like
yeah. I don't really think that there was a lot of calls that were bad, and I know like Gradowski was freaking out.
He elbowed somebody in the face. And
no, exactly. That's actually the play I'm thinking about, particularly where he like kind of freaked out and like really started complaining about the calls going against him. But he had like objectively just elbowed the guy. Like I think it was El Fauzi, right? I think he elbowed him in the face and knocked him down, and then he's like upset that the decision went against him. And I'm like, dude, like what are you talking about? So yeah, I don't know. I thought the ref was okay.
Yeah. There was they kept trying to break us down. It was getting closer and closer. 65th minute, they had a great shot from just inside the box. It was like a loose ball going around. It came off of a wing play where they're coming down the left wing side, crosses in the box, causes a bunch of chaos. It falls to their midfielder at the top of the box. Looks like he has a wide open shot, and Schallenberg comes out and makes a timely block, I should say. But like we were getting lucky, whether it's blocks or Karius making a save here and there. It was getting closer and closer to like they were going to score a goal, and then I think the moment that kind of settled us down was that collision in the 70th minute where ball, it's kind of a play off of a throw in from in their own end. Bielefeld they kind of like booted down the pitch. I don't know if it was Ihan or somebody kind of headed it back towards Karius and Gradowski collide, and obviously Gradowski goes down. That kind of like woke us up because we had a good delay. It ended up being the 8 minutes that we had at the end of the game because of this play there. But we kind of like regrouped, and remainder of that game, it was more even, I thought, than it had been, because I think up to that point it was inarguably in Bielefeld's favor in terms of how the field was tilted. And I thought we saw the rest of the game out after that. I think Muslic probably got his guys, together and said, wake the fuck up, basically. But that felt like the turning point for me in terms of us kind of stabilizing. I know they had a couple of chances late in the game. We win ultimately 2-1. As Muslic said, we defend till the end, which we did. We had to 8 minutes deep, but it wasn't pretty, like you said. But we won. We got the job done 3 in a row, Jeff.
Yeah. I mean, like less of a deserved, win in terms of the defensive performances regarding like what we've seen so far this season. But we still, we grounded out. These are the kind of results you have to find a way to get over the course of a season to be at the right end of the table. And it's great that they're going our way. And some of that's the result of luck. Some of it's the result of like a lot of, hard yards and effort. And we saw that. And that's credit to the coach for motivating the players, accordingly. And, hey, good 90 minutes from my end, went the full distance, no subs for the back line or anything like that. They were working pretty hard. And, good performance from Gantabine. Like I said, there's something that we criticize typically. So there's some positives to take away from this one.
Yeah.
For sure. The main thing is just kind of, Musa Sylla and his struggles and whatnot. Fortunately, that was kind of papered over today by goals coming from other places, which is nice to see. And the more that we can do, like the less of an issue it is when you don't have that coming from the striker position.
On Schalke's Twitter or on social media, Gantabine was voted player of the match, obviously for his heroics on the goal line, which is fine. It was a great play by Gantabine. I think he had a pretty good game all the way around. El Fauzi, Schallenberg doing their things. I thought Vitaly Becker had one of his weaker games. I felt like Mamula did a good job of taking him on one-on-one and at times getting an advantage over Becker. Becker held his own, but it wasn't his strongest game by any stretch, I think. I have no worries with Becker, but this is the one game he looked like it was his kryptonite, that maybe he's not just Mr. Perfect, Mr. Youngster. He has some flaws. Obviously, he's human, right? So we'll see how he does through this adversity. Obviously, it wasn't a bad game by any stretch. Antwi-Adjei, I thought, had a solid game. Happy to have him back. It seemed like maybe it's just the illusion, but it seemed like the attack had a little bit more than we had before with Christian Gomes, and they're two different type players in two different type situations. Obviously, Christopher is a set piece specialist with the kicks and the throw-ins and stuff like that. But to me, again, every time he's out there, I have this calming feeling with him there. Maybe it's
he just gets on the ball. He finds a way to get on the ball more, like way more than Gomes does. For example, like Gomes, you just kind of feel like he's like on the periphery, kind of like hunting, and he's Antwi-Adjei is just like in and around the ball constantly. So, I think that's part of it.
And then again, Sylla, like everyone's saying, Sylla just had another weak game, quiet game, and we've had this before with strikers. Obviously, Simon Tarota, where he'd be quiet all game long, but then all of a sudden an opportunity come and he scored a goal, right? And scored 2 goals. Like, what the hell? Did nothing all game and then scored 2 goals. We're not getting that quiet with Sylla. Sylla had that beginning of last season, the first half of the season, and then really since January, he's not scored many goals. If he scored 6 goals between January 1 and now, I'd be surprised. It's been really snake bitten for him over the last almost 12 months. But other than that, we won. So can't complain about that.
Because didn't he have double digits like at Christmas last year, pretty much?
He had like 15, or I feel like he had like 15 goals or 14 goals at Christmas. It was like a ridiculous amount of goals he had.
I don't remember being. I don't know if it was that high. Maybe it was that high, but I'm pretty sure he was like at least like 10 or 11. Yeah, for sure. So
maybe him and Karaman were both in the double digits at Christmas. I think maybe that's what it was. But either way, he didn't have the same production, or didn't feel like the same production in the second half last year. Certainly not this year by any stretch. So we'll see. Like I said, I give him till the end of this month, October, to kind of figure things out. He's got an international break now. He's going away on with Mali, so maybe he can figure something out there. But I think you and I talked about who we thought was the best defender, and there was someone else who agreed with us. It was kicker. Kicker, their best 11. Kurachai for the second week in a row made the best 11.
Deservedly.
Not that Katic didn't have a bad game at all. Obviously, man of the match for other reasons, but Kurachai scored a goal again. He's just our best defender at present moment. And it's funny because I talked about this on the reaction after the game, where like this guy comes in almost like a throwaway, just a body just to kind of help our defense because we have no bodies really, and all of a sudden he's like our best defender, and it's like okay, that works, and maybe it's part of what the Bauman Manga fallout was, where Bauman said, "Look at this guy," and Manga's like, "No, he sucks," and obviously now he's our best defender, so maybe Bauman knows what he's talking about there. So I don't know.
Yeah, who knows how that went down? But yeah, like I said, like the first couple weeks of the season, I didn't really see much from him that I was like surprised with, and maybe just took some time to integrate. But since then, I mean, like I said, he's really been having some standout performances, and has clearly been our best defender. So I'm glad he's getting recognition outside of just the team and us and everything else. So good for him. Cool story.
Now I want to go back, and I don't want to go back to talk about the injury per se, but the Gradowski play where he did get knocked out. People, or even Schalke fans, are asking like, should that have been a foul on Karius? He essentially punched Gradowski in the face and knocked him out. You've seen that call given before, red cards, and so people are wondering. And who do we go to when it's German football? Manuel Gräfe. And he went on Twitter and kind of explained his thoughts. He's retired. He's now retired, but he gave his thoughts. He says, "No, look, this is a complex situation. It's a bang play. Due to many inquiries, this is a penalty." He says the striker doesn't really look at the ball. He moves towards the goalkeeper, potentially trying to support or obstruct him, and doesn't go in a header duel. So he's saying Gradowski didn't even jump for the ball. So Karius looks like he wants to get the ball, but hits the attacker in the face with his left hand fist. Was the contact now more forceful because the striker moved into the goalkeeper, or actually the punch was stronger? This is a scene that isn't black or white because you can't clarify that definitively. Here, the decision should be in line with the referee's approach and accept how he evaluated it in original time if he saw it clearly. Otherwise, VAR would have intervened, which they didn't. And he says, Manuel Gräfe continues, says, for him, it's acceptable since the attacker moves away very much into the goalkeeper, forces the risk, and he gets hit himself, and the goalkeeper is looking for the ball. Even though there's a whistle, you could argue that there would have been a penalty. There's nothing there that suggests that it should have been a red card on Karius for that play. It was just a bang play. Karius is clearly going for the ball. It's just something that happens, and unfortunately, these collisions happen. So,
yeah. Well, look, we Manuel Gräfe definitely, I think, our favorite ref, yeah. And very much not Dennis Eitikin. So I tend to, take some stock of what Gräfe says there. It was a strange play, and I was trying to watch the replay to see exactly what happened, because it's not like he was going to punch with the hand, like to really clear the ball with the hand that hit the player. But it also didn't look like he really extended or did anything with a lot of force. So it was kind of surprising that the player got knocked out the way he did. But at the same time, it's there was a fist. It was difficult. Yeah, I couldn't really. I was really trying to determine if I felt like it was intentional or and it was really difficult to see because he was also partially obscured by the Schalke player in front of him when he was going for it. The other thing that was weird was when Katic turned around and then kind of jumped to Gradowski to start helping him with. It almost looked like Karius was yelling at him to be "Oh, get up," kind of a thing. And then because his body language looked like kind of he was yelling at him more than he was concerned. Now I could be totally wrong about that. He may have been shouting about the state of the player, and if that's the case, then I apologize. Obviously, I can't leave. But the body language was kind of weird too, which kind of made you wonder if he was in the middle of some sort of kind of amped up testosterone moment, and so maybe there was something to that punch. But yeah, it was difficult to tell. And hopefully that's not the case because if there's anybody that knows about head injuries, it's Karius. So hopefully he's not inflicting that on other people. But yeah.
I think it's funny that you say that because I think the Bielefeld fans thought Katic was doing the same thing where he was aggressively trying to beat up the player or something like that. But you clearly see he's trying to turn him over because all of a sudden you see I don't remember which Bielefeld player it was, but he was signaling to his bench immediately, and you see Katic is obviously doing the right thing. And I think I also don't know. I felt the same way as you about Karius, but he quickly realized what's going on and he got down to help Katic there. But crazy scenes all the way around. And I think I'm with you with the Karius thing in terms of the punch or not punch. I think he was clearly going for the ball, and I think he was getting ready to go up to punch it, and the motion of him jumping up just caught Gradowski perfectly, knocked him out. And we know Gradowski is knocked out, by the way, when Katic is trying to move him. He was just flopping around like he was out. He was out. So whatever. We'll see. We'll see. Hopefully Gradowski recovers. Definitely at minimum is a concussion. And I'm glad the team took him out of the game. Sometimes the pride can get into things, and you want to get back out there. He looked good after he got up, but
it's actually, I think it's actually fortunate that he wasn't really airborne when that happened, as opposed to like having gone for like a header in the air and then they get punched at the verge, because then there's a lot of more distance to fall where you can't protect yourself as you're falling. Yeah, so there's a little bit short of a distance, which maybe was a good thing. But yeah, glad that he was seemingly okay after he got back up.
Well, Michael says we easily forget Muslic and Katic were almost relegated to Plymouth last season, and now Katic is getting called up to the national team. Him, Musa Sylla, and Vitaly Becker have all been called up for international duty. We're obviously in international break, so no game next week, regular season game. But good to see all three of them there. We'll see how they do. Becker, obviously good to get him called up for Germany. Katic and then Sylla, we'll see how Sylla does. Can he find his form?
Yeah, Sylla definitely more of a class call-up than a form call-up, I think you have to say. Yeah. But good for him, I guess.
Yeah, for sure. Table-wise, we are alone in second place, which is crazy. I thought I should have screen, but I obviously didn't.
Hey, twice as many goals scored as conceded. That's a good recipe that's going to serve you well over the course of the season.
We weren't even close to that last year. Look at that, plus 5. Plus 5. Elfersberg, they look like they want to get back to where they were last year in contention for the
Hey, you know what? Shout out to Elversberg. Smallest stadium in the league. Top of the table right now. Good for them.
Yeah, and the team we're probably most similar to is Paderborn, which is kind of funny. We play them very soon. But yeah, we have no games, no regular season games for us. There is a friendly coming up this Saturday morning against Bohemians in Ireland. But that's not what's going to take precedent for us. For us.
You flying out there for that one?
No. But I may fly out for this one. It's the SchalkeMerica derby.
Hey.
It's the Bears against Commanders this week. So, Jack and I definitely won't have a podcast next week. We're going to be watching this game a week from now live. But, yeah, it is.
in my family league, I actually have both of those quarterbacks on my roster. So
you can't lose this week.
Yeah. I mean, it's not a super flex, though, so I can't play both of them. I have to choose one or the other. I'm going to be, am I choosing your guy or my guy? I might be trying my own guy to choose your player or not. I'm not going to probably tell you what I end up doing. It's going to be a mystery, a secret.
Yeah. All right, let's get out of here. It's international break. Take a little break for ourselves. We can enjoy some our own derby within our podcast here. But Jack, anything before we get out of here?
No. I think that's it. Oh, actually, there is something. I believe I saw somewhere on the interwebs that one Marius Bolter and his wife gave birth to a child this weekend.
Cool.
She became parents. I don't know I think they already had a kid before. I don't think that was their first child. I'd have to check. But anyway, Marius Bolter, a player that I think is you and I are both still quite fond of. So hope but the baby and mom are both doing well, and shout out to them.
Yeah, and he's doing well in the Bundesliga at the moment. So yeah, shout out to them. Hopefully everything is healthy. Everyone's healthy there, and that's great to hear there. That I didn't hear that. So good for that. Where can our followers find you on social media, Jack?
At JMMangan, JMManGAN on X/Twitter.
You can follow me at R_KHARMAN. More importantly, follow us on SchalkeMerica all across social media. Shout out to everyone watching tonight, whether it's on Kick, Twitch, YouTube, Facebook, wherever you're watching from. Glad you guys could join us tonight. Look out to Tim, Joseph, Michael, Eric, everyone else in the chat. Good to have you guys join us for tonight. It's always more fun with the chat involved as well. So we're taking a break. It's an international break. We will be back just after the Hanover match. Will be a similar podcast. We'll find out, but to be determined. Until then, enjoy the break. Watch some Schalke players in action, the 3 playing. But until then, catch you guys soon. Look off.
SchalkeMerica.